Hey there, humans and galactic customizers. Gorky and I as in Flim Flam, wanted to take this moment to share our feelings on the father and son team known as Customs for the Kid. Brian Fulton,
aka Darth Daddy,
and Elias Fulton,
his son.
these two do an amazing job of custom made figures.
Yeah, Flim Flam and I came across their website one day, and I was like, wow!
Yeah, we wanted to say that they have inspired us
Oh, yeah.
and many humans to be creative and customize their own figures and more.
And Flim Flam and I know a thing or two about customizing action figures.
Yeah. So,
Congratulations!
Keep up the great work. You guys are awesome. We are your biggest fans.
Big time.
Hello, everybody. This is Darth Daddy, and you are here for the Customs for the Kid 10th anniversary celebration. We have a bunch of friends that have contributed to the blog over the last 10 years, and we just wanted to invite them on and say thank you and celebrate their contributions. And I have Elias here with me. He's the other half of Customs for the Kid.
Hey guys.
For those of you who don't know everybody, we have Wookie Lover 1138, who has a great YouTube show. All right.
Thank you.
We also have Hyperdrive. He's the customizer who actually did the soft goods on my Pong Krell. Chris Sequel from Star Wars Underworld.
What's up?
He brought me on over there to do Darth Daddy's customizing corner. And then we got Chad Peak, who spent a couple years with me doing the YouTube show, customizing the Clone Wars, where he was host. And we went through and we talked about all the different ways you can make your own Star Wars custom action figures. And Jimmy Mack helped, we ran 2 custom action figure blogs with him and Rebel Force Radio to promote Kyle Newman's radio dramas at the Star Wars celebrations. And yeah, we're just gonna like basically chat and talk about like the little things each one of you guys did to make our blog special. So essentially, I guess I should just talk briefly what the blog is. It's a Star Wars custom action figure blog that was started back in 2010. It features action figures that were made by both me and Elias. We featured artists from all over the world. We created a directory, so if you wanted to start collecting Star Wars custom action figures, who are the artists out there that make them? We used to do a little video giving like a clip of samples of their work. We used to do tutorials showing people how to make things. We had a lot of third-party sellers who were making really cool pieces like in small quantities that they sold off to collectors in the community. And anytime we saw something that really caught our eye and we thought was special, we made sure we shared it with all of our readers. We had content like Jen's show where I thought she was doing like a really nice job promoting the Star Wars custom action figure community in such a fun way, between like doing the toy reviews, and she had this little special custom cargo section where she would feature a different customizer every episode. And to me, I thought that was one of the coolest things. Like, review shows were a dime a dozen, but to like celebrate the artists in the community, like, to me, it was what I was trying to do, but way better. And it was it was really cool to really showcase the cool things that people were doing in the community. And it was really nice to make all the friends that I got to make here, and I really appreciate it more than you guys could ever know. So that said, I was hoping Ellie was going to be on here by now. Elias, can you take the floor for a second so I could work that part out? Because he did call while we were all here. So
Sure.
you're on the, things are, hold on. He might have just sent me a text. Hello, I'm running late. Okay. He's running late. but we're good. Okay, so I'm gonna switch over to Chad really quick because
Cool.
you actually are going to probably cover where, for people who don't know, I was not a customizer at the start of the blog, or I was a newly minted customizer. I maybe had maybe 2 customs under my belt when I started, and it was stuff that Elias like invented as a little kid, and he'd draw every day, and he asked me to make him some action figures, and I was like, I'll make his Star Wars characters that he created. And before I know, you know, it's people like Chad and Ellie Spry, who's going to be on soon, that taught me how to even make action figures, because it's not an easy process. There's a lot of there's power tools involved. There's you know, painting, sculpting, knowing what mediums to use and all that jazz. And yeah, you were one of the people that kind of brought me under your wing. I started off, I learned at yakface.com, and I definitely want to thank them because they've featured the work of Customs for the Kid numerous times. They did customizer spotlights. I guess when Ellie comes, I'll talk about some of the other sites that he introduced me to, and you know, what they have done for us as well. I guess Jimmy Mack, you were kind of there early on. I just want to thank you really for even like taking the time to promote the custom action figure community, because we were kind of like regulated to the forums where you had to really dig to even knew we existed.
Yeah.
And to kind of lift us out and give us like a platform for a while there was really cool, because I've definitely seen a huge jump in participation over the years in the art forum. Sadly, it's all going to 6-inch recently, but you know,
that's the dirty word. That's the dirty word.
It is the dirty word.
Yeah.
There used to be so many of us, and then they switched to 6-inch, and order 6-inch happened, and all the customizers were destroyed.
Yeah. They realized they could put 2.25 inch onto an action figure and then charge 3 times the amount.
That's
so
exactly
that's what that all comes
is.
down to. And then, you know, the chumps in the fan community buy that stuff.
Yep.
I think we should have boycotted that stuff the second it hit the shelves.
I agree.
3.25 inch forever.
Totally.
Yeah.
Yes.
But I'll tell you, I love customizing. And I was turned on to it back in the mid-90s when I first logged on to AOL and ventured into a Star Wars chat room. I was, you know, collecting action figures at the time, and the POTF2 had just started. And so it was a struggle to get that stuff at retail, and I'd be searching through AOL chat rooms looking for tips about where to score the new action figures, or even find out what was actually out there and coming out, because the amount of websites dedicated to that kind of thing weren't really as abundant as they are today. And I stumbled across customized action figures, and I couldn't believe it, because for me, I had always cherished my vintage, you know, back in the day, I bought them when vintage was new, but those, you know, those original Kenner action figures. And the thought of ever defacing one of them, or, you know, making adjustments to them, that terrified me, because those action figures were precious to me. But then, as I started to get more and more into action figure collecting as an adult, I found that I wasn't very easily satisfied with the things that were coming out from Hasbro. They weren't releasing figures fast enough for me, and I wanted to build that collection as fast as possible. So I actually started venturing into customizing myself. And it was something that I did for a number of years, and it was a great hobby. I have to admit, I haven't really done it much in maybe the last 10 or 12 years, but back in the early days of Hasbro and POTF2, I was very active doing a lot of repaints, head swaps, even some minor sculpting. I even bought a Dremel.
Yeah.
That's when you know you're
game changer.
That's the game changer. That's the game changer. That's when you know you've committed. Is when you get that little hand drill tool, and I'm sanding and doing all this stuff. And
Totally.
I couldn't believe it. It was really fulfilling, though, to create some of my own action figures. And It's
Oh,
something I'd like to dive back into doing, but I never did stuff on the scale you guys do, where you're actually fully sculpting action figures in many cases. And of course, I was presented with an awesome Zero the Hutt. That's
you
what
have one of the few I'd never really do commissions. You're like you have one of the only pieces that really left the house.
Right, I had to harass you for it, Brian. I saw many times pictures of this Zero the Hutt, and I said, who do I have to kill to get one of those? And
the question is, who do you have to pay?
Well, yes, of course. No, and I appreciate the artist work, the art, all the artwork that goes into it, and the talent, and the time, and the skill. You guys are true artists, and I'm just blown away by some of the stuff I see on the website, on the blog, and it's just something I really enjoy doing. Obviously, collecting action figures, but customizing action figures is a real fulfilling thing to do, because you're building something unique in your collection that no one else has. Even if they've customized their own action figure of the very same exact character, there's always going to be differences. There's always going to be something that makes your creation totally unique and stand alone. And then you can give tours of your collection and freak people out when they see action figures that they have never seen on the pegs before. And you can blow them away by saying, yeah, I made that. And it's always fun to show off my action figure collection, which is pretty extensive. And to the knowledgeable fan, they will be able to point out certain
The
action
customs.
figures in there. Say, where'd you get that? Oh, I made it. You made it. I love that. You made it.
Yeah.
How did you do it? With
Chris, I
paint?
think you're the only one who's ever seen our collection in person, huh?
Oh my goodness! I guess it's because I didn't realize that. That's awesome. The thing that I love about your collection and the customs that you and Elias have made is how heavily it focuses on the Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Because as we know, there was a few years when Hasbro was being very nice to us Clone Wars fans and putting out many waves per year, but it died down very, very quickly. And
right when the show is at its peak.
Right when it was at its peak
I want
too.
to get awesome.
Oh yeah. So I think that that's one of the most awesome aspects of what you guys have done is you've been able to bring to life all of these CGI characters that didn't really exist outside of maybe a production maquette somewhere in Dave Filoni's office. So that they're coming into the physical world for the first time ever because they're computer generated. So that is really cool to have that tangible connection to that show. And my mind was so blown when I saw all of them just together in one place, in your super secret location that apparently no one else has been to. That still blows my mind. So that's crazy. I did not know that. That's awesome. And I've loved sharing that with our Star Wars Underworld readers. Thank you so much for spending the time to showcase your stuff and put it on our site. I really appreciate that because that's what we like doing is showcasing fans and stuff. So, and you've been one of the most active people throughout our entire history when it comes to posting fan-made stuff. So thank you for that.
Oh, no problem. I wish I had more. Everybody, when 3 3/4 inch stopped articulating figures, we lost a lot of customizers. And I used to try and promote someone new every week, and they dropped off.
It got really difficult.
It got real hard.
You're right. It dropped off. It was the order 66 of customizing.
Yeah, yes.
Kinda,
And that's one thing I was thinking about earlier. When I was so excited for the show, and I was like, every time Hasbro failed us, Darth Daddy and Elias, they provided, and it was just so amazing. Every time you guys knocked it out of the park.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was going to say that too with our show, Customizing the Clone Wars. The idea was how far can we take that collection? They had about 200 characters themselves, where they varied the paint jobs and whatnot and gave us some of the cool characters. But we really wanted to take it to the next level. Not only our fandom for the show. I mean, we did it in April of 2016 is when we started. So the show was long gone, but we really wanted to say, you could go here, you know, you could do this, you could take it this much further, you know, and do these wild characters, you know, or, you know, not just repaints, you know, they could totally use this collection, you know, the collection like you have behind you, Jen, it's just unreal how much they missed the boat in paint jobs and whatnot. We go through it all the time. I mean, I appreciate you, Brian, over the years. You just listen to me complain about Hasbro, you know, and I'm their biggest fan. I'm like the guy on in The Incredibles. I'm your biggest fan, you know. I turn into the bad guy, you know, because I can't stand what they do a lot of times because they've gone in a different direction. And it's a shame, you know, because I feel like they could have a animated line that it would be awesome, you know, and people would buy it up like crazy. Just repaints alone. I mean, we saw something on eBay the other night. It was just a solid paint job of a clone trooper, and it was going for $300 easily or something like that for one.
It was Keeley, right? Commander Keeley?
Yeah, it was Keeley. It was really impressive. It was really impressive, you know.
Keeley's not easy to paint.
No, he's not. You know,
I'll have to
especially
take care of that
tattoo on his
one.
head. What's that?
I'll have to jump on that. If it's hard to paint, I'll have to try it.
Nice.
I just want to give a shout out.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just want to give a shout out to Paul, probably because I would say my most famous custom, most people always talk about Krell, and Krell would have never happened if it wasn't for Paul, because I was beside myself when I was making that Krell. I was like, how the heck am I going to pull this off? And at the time, Paul was using a moniker Hyperdrive and Yak Face. And I as I'm like brainstorming how I'm going to do this, I see some of his artwork on Yak Face, and I'm like, man, I wish Hyperdrive could just do my soft goods. And less than a minute, we had like some kind of Luke Leia Empire Strikes Back Force connection. The guy sends me an email, and he's like, hey, you know, I just started doing this new run of figures. Would you mind updating my video in your Customs I Wish I Owned page? And I was like, yeah. I was like, no problem at all. I was like, while I have your ear, would you be interested in doing some soft goods for my Krell? And he was like, I'd love to collaborate. So I finished the whole sculpt. I mailed it off to Paul. Paul ended up doing the soft goods for me, even made it that beautiful base that you see it photographed on, mailed it back to me. And yeah, I don't like he did all that beautiful leather work on the belt and everything. I don't think the figure would have looked half as good if he hadn't contributed the way he had. And
well, you know, go ahead. I was just going to say, I was going to elaborate on something that Chad kind of went down one of the roads that I wanted to just sort of expound upon for a second, and that is that you know, when it comes to Hasbro, and there is that misconception that they let us down, you know, perennially with bad sculpts and paint and things. But, you know, one of the things I always tried to do, and Pong Krell was almost an exception, because I seldom sculpt. I do occasionally. Most of the things that I do are add-ons to an existing figure. But I found that even with just simple washes, sometimes the Hasbro sculpts are just really there, but they use a translucent plastic or something that doesn't have any life to it. But even with just the simplest sloppy slapdash coat of weathering, there's something beautiful there. I did a figure many years ago that people seem to like, and I still get questioned on it. It was the Whir bartender figure, and I did a couple of patrons from the cantina. And people thought that I spent all this time sculpting the face and adding this cool like choker necklace to it and everything. And even up until a couple of months ago, I said, no, man, that was all there. That was like the power of the Force 2 sculpt. I just slapped some paint on it and try to dab it off with a paper towel. You know, I mean, it's like, and the other things I did were unique to myself. But what I'm saying, I guess, is that, you know, with a little bit of thought and a little bit of sort of looking at it with a fresh set of eyes, sometimes they're there. And but they don't do, you know, and I think to myself, for 10 cents more of paint that they could have applied at the factory, they would have sold all these and not having them sit on the pegs. And it's just, you know, it's a shame really, because some of the best figures that I used for fodder, I don't go on eBay and spend.
Oh, I think we lost you, Paul. Anyone else hear his audio or no?
Yeah, your audio went out, Paul.
I don't know if you can see this. It's kind of hard with the.
With a cheap paint, you can go a long way with it. You know.
Oh, there it goes.
It's kind of hard to see. It's my custom wooher.
Oh,
made
nice.
100 years ago out of
There you go.
it's hard. It's so hard for me to get him on screen, but I made him out of a Rancor keeper, and I sculpted the hair, and I sculpted his shirt.
Brilliant.
I sculpted his shirt on, and then I think the arms are from a Ben Kenobi POTF
Looks
suit.
great.
And I got him holding a pitcher. I don't know where I got the pitcher from, but he's ready to serve.
Nice.
He's ready to serve some Cantina margaritas.
I really do agree with you, Paul, about, like, you know, a lot of the Hasbro stuff, the sculpt is there. It's there. It's just not, you know, it doesn't have makeup on it. It needs to be zhuzhed up a little bit. And I noticed that everybody, like, hated that, like, Leia that came out for Force Awakens in the blue dress with, like, her hair up and, like, the buns.
Worst figure ever.
Everybody's like, her crazy eyebrows. And I just put I painted over it. And, you know, before I even got into all the detail work, just after one flat coat of, like, a skin-colored paint, I looked at it and I was like, the sculpt is here. And I was like, wow. Okay, that makes my job easier. It's just, you know, cheap paint, and that can obscure the good sculpt that's actually present. And all it takes is someone to put in a little effort, a little thought, a little more.
Think about it. A good paint job can take 6 hours, and they can't do 6 hours per figure.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people who buy customs don't realize that before you even get into, like, sculpt, some of these paint jobs are pretty detailed, and
paint jobs can be intense.
Multiple layers, washes, highlight, you know, dry brushing things in. And yeah, that's one of the reasons why I think Hasbro has the inferior paint job. It's just, it's not cost effective to give the paint job that you'd be giving.
Yeah, I've had people lately, you know, I had a guy last week, he was like, I need you to paint it clean, you know, paint it to make it look like Hasbro. You know, so they just wanted a really basic paint job, and I was like, "Oh, I totally understand that." You know, you don't want me to weather it at all. You don't want me to give it scratches or kind of depth or anything. Nope, just paint it nice and clean. I'm like, okay, I'll do that. You know, it always varies. You know what I get. You know, I get different things. You know, what I like is when people are like, "Hey, do whatever you want. You know, it's your style. I love it." You know, those are the kind of people I like.
Beautiful style. Your paint style is beautiful. I think I've tried to replicate it a few times. I tried really hard when I made Stila, and I tried really hard when I made
did a great job on that Stila.
Yeah, you did.
It just takes working on it. You know, like Jimmy Mack, I found Rebel Scum's. It's called Customizing Crossroads. You know, it was way back in 1995 or something like that, or 96, and you know, I just gradually over time taught myself, and then I dropped my Dremel one day, and I was like, oh my God, that thing's 20 years old. Oh my God, 20 years old. I've been customizing 20 years. I can't believe it. You know, it just
never
takes time.
thought I'd still be here 10 years later.
Yeah,
doing it. Like, I thought when Elias asked me to start making action figures, I was like, dude, how am I going to do this? And thank God for people like Chad, because I would have been in trouble.
I remember when we first started, and, like, you were like, I'm so clueless. I don't know what I'm doing. And then, like, there were, like, some days where I'd, like, come home and you'd pick me up off the bus and you'd be like, I met someone new today. And that was Chad. And that was Ellie. And now they're people that, like, I was doing customizing the Clone Wars with for years.
You're getting good. You're getting
I
good, man.
really missed that show. I mean, like, it was really stressful, but I still
Yeah,
miss it.
Clone Wars was fun. You know, we loved doing that show. Like I said, we just really wanted to show how far it could go. You know, I mean, I really wanted to do everybody, and I'm trying to actually do literally everybody. You know, I mean, if we could just get some of those background characters, some of those Ithorians, you know, some of that stuff. You know, I have a Paul and Krell on the table downstairs. Nice. You know, I have another Trench on the table. You know, it's wild. You know, I mean, those characters are so popular, yet they can't get to it because they're so tied up with these other things, these other agendas, and you know, I mean, they're trying to make the Clone Wars relevant in 6-inch. You know, I mean, they took our ideas. I swear I gave them that idea, and I was like, use you know, Jango Fett's body and make us some Clone Wars stuff. And sure enough, they do. And of course, they put it in 6-inch. And I'm like, killing me, man. You're killing me, Smalls. You know, it's like, jeez.
I think my favorite part about doing customizing the Clone Wars was just teaching people we did it, and trying to like make more customizers out there, only because not many people were doing what we were doing, and if we could at least visually replicate that on screen for people to see, it would at least make something that seems impossible as a finished project look approachable, because they see all the ugly stages that we had before it got to that final stage. And just sharing those techniques and you know, bringing customizing into other people's homes. I see what it did here for this home, and I just wanted to spread that love everywhere.
Honestly, like if I spread, if like any customizer spreads just like a little bit of that customizing magic, that is like so heartwarming. Because it, you know, you were right, Jimmy. Like it's really like a fulfilling and gratifying hobby, because you make one figure and you look at it when you're done and you're like,
I did that.
Yeah. Right. No one else has this action figure. Is the
Yeah.
thought that crosses my mind most often.
During was my holy grail.
Back in the prequel era, I used to customize a lot at the kitchen table because I didn't have like a set space.
Jimmy, I'm still doing it at the kitchen table 10 years later.
Perfect. Yeah, you know,
we made our loaf wolf at the kitchen table.
I talked to Seth Green once, and he had a nice house, and he had a whole room dedicated to Star Wars action figure customizing.
Really?
Did you guys know that he was into that?
Wow.
I've been talking to him because we did. Yeah, Elias made Lats Razzi, and his girlfriend, Claire, was Lats Razzi, so we tagged her. Right. And then we started talking, and then not long after that, he made one for her.
He made one. So so he was still at it then all those years later. Yep. That's pretty cool. But I would sit at the kitchen table, and naturally I would attract the attention of my younger son. And he would come over, and he was very young. I'm talking 6 years old.
That's how old I was.
That's how old you were? So I gave him a plain white clone trooper, and I said, go to town. And he made a very colorful clone trooper. Every color used in the box was applied to that.
My dad was not so kind. He started me on the 5 POA figures, and he was like, the day that comes when you are worthy, you will paint on a super articulated figure, because they were expensive. They were expensive. And I remember like the day I was like, can I paint on a super articulated figure now? And he was like, you can do it. And I was like,
son, today you become a man.
Yeah, pretty much.
That's so funny. But you know what? It's awesome that you two guys get to do it together and have awesome father-son bonding moments and create things that will last. So you can look back at the collection and have these great memories about
for sure.
Elias's childhood and all of that. I think that's really wonderful. How old are you now, Elias?
16.
16. And how long have you been? You've been at it for about 10 years, huh?
Yeah.
10 years. Started when I was 6. Now I'm 16.
What a great hobby. What a great hobby to share with your dad.
I have to thank him, because I would have never met any of you. I would have never been an artist. I would have never. It was basically, I bought 3 custom action figures on eBay. They came in the mail, and he was like, what are these? Because he started collecting when he was 4, and he was already able to tell the difference between a custom and Hasbro. And he's like, what is this? And I explained, and he was like, can we do this? And I was like, I can't do this. And he's like, Dad, I believe in you. Just start, and I know you'll finish. I got to do it now. I have no choice. So it was like, got to be a good role model. I got to turn the impossible into possible. And like, just let him know, put one foot in front of the other. And, you know, in 2018, he won Customizer of the Year from Toy News International.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Awesome. Most impressive.
It's pretty cool. I have to thank you, Elias, more than anybody, because you introduced me to this whole world. Yeah, it's been one of the coolest parts of my life that I never would have planned on doing if it weren't for you. It was a beautiful detour.
I always felt like, you know, I was like, I was pretty clueless. I didn't know what was happening, and I didn't understand the commitment at the time. And
I don't think I did either, but
I want to do this. And you know, when it comes to like the commitment, it's difficult, but you know, you always like, it feels natural because you're just doing it and it becomes what you do.
Yeah.
Like I could just sit down and make a figure if I wanted because I'm just used to it. And most people were just like, you know, where do I start? And it's like you said, you just put one foot in front of the other. All it takes is to really sit down, be a critical thinker, be a creative thinker, and find interesting ways to solve a complex problem.
Yeah.
You got a genius kid there, Brian. He's a genius.
Dude, I lucked out on the you know, you have a pretty cool kid too. I've seen him like rocking out on the guitar, man.
Oh yeah. Michael he's a hell of a musician. He's 21 now, so he can play the bars.
He's not a kid anymore.
He can play all the bars now. He started playing the bars when he was 14.
Wow.
And so it's great to see your kid achieve and succeed and really put himself out there in a creative way. Like what Elias is doing with his customizing, you know, it's expressive. It's a good use of time. It's a good use of your skills, and it's a great way to hone your. You know, it's like a good brain exercise to do.
Oh,
this
absolutely! Oh my God, I love like the problem solving side of it. Like, okay, I have this problem is that I need to turn this figure into this. And for that to happen, I need to change this, this, and this. And you need to do that with a certain set of tools and a certain set of skills to make it happen. And, you know, not even skills. It just takes like thought, deliberation, and a little bit of willpower.
Be patient.
And a lot of patience. A lot of patience. It's very tedious.
And you know, it teaches you how to finish what you've started as well. Absolutely. Because like any customizer, I'm sure you have a box of a few half-started projects or what have you. I can still pull out a project I started 15 years ago. You know?
I think we usually are pretty good about finishing. We might have like a basket of like
potentials
soon
to be worked on. I part things out. I probably have 40 figures parted out, waiting to go. And with the blog, it was a huge commitment because there were times in my life where I was like, I'm going to try and post every 3 days, which was totally nuts. I don't know how I did it. I think I only slept 4 hours a day when the blog was at its heaviest. Now I'm like, I don't promote things like I used to.
We post when we post.
Yeah. But I mean, we're still doing more than Hasbro per year, like as far as releases. So
well, this year that's certainly easy. I think they've announced like 5 figures. They'd even do a line for the Rise of Skywalker. I mean, come on.
That was crazy.
I think I know why that happened.
I have a lot of Rise of Skywalker customs that I'd like to make.
Yeah. I'd like to see
we got
it.
the bridge to nowhere, you know, the carbonite freezing chamber. We got that.
The bridge to nowhere.
That's what I call it.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah. I would have preferred the claw over the bridge.
And I love how they encourage you to buy 2 of them now. You know, you can connect them. Look, buy 2.
Yeah.
It is. So is the general consensus about that play set? It's a little bit of a disappointment.
Same.
Okay.
Yeah.
A little bit.
I saw someone turn the old Power of the Force one. They put lighting underneath it, and it looked cooler because there's just more going on. Even though it was smaller and shrunken down,
Mhm.
I didn't notice that they like connected like that. I just saw it like the day it was released, and I was like, I already have one.
As a customizer, you're criticizing it because it's incorrect. You know,
Yeah.
there was only one set of stairs. You
Yeah,
know,
I
now
don't
you're putting
get it.
2 sets of stairs. It's incorrect. You know, so you want it to be like the movie. You know, you want it to be like a
Oh,
That's
yeah,
what
screen
we're
accurate
about.
piece.
accurate as
Screen
possible. Yeah,
accuracy is something
yeah,
we are so picky about.
yeah.
Like,
Well,
Why
because
do
we get dogs
wait,
for it, so we have to like
we,
make sure.
we
why
have
do
For
like
our
my
base,
speedy board?
folders
we don't do
upon
it, we're screwed.
folders of like photo references and
Yeah,
assets and things that we like are constantly staring at while we're sculpting.
yeah.
Yeah,
Screen
I've
Gotta
taken so many
accuracy.
screenshots I can't count.
sweat the
Oh
details.
yeah,
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 this is the way.
Not with Hasbro though.
yeah.
yeah.
So we should let Hasbro know. Get your act together. I heard in a recent live stream they said they've been hearing the fan unrest about the lack of 3 3/4 inch action figures, and in 2021 we might notice maybe more solid focus on those than we've seen in the last few years.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Right.
That's at least what I heard.
I'm interested.
Supposedly.
Let's
Yeah.
see. Let's see where that goes.
Right.
We have had
Oh,
some
yeah.
cool things announced that never got released. But at the same, I think I can't say I'm optimistic, but we always have customizing.
Yep.
And now it's
Freedom.
more important than ever. You know, it takes me back to the old POTF2 days when they weren't putting out action figures fast enough for me. And I feel
Yeah.
like the clock has almost been set back 25 years, and we're back in that
We've
same
re-entered the dark
situation.
era.
You know, it's
You want to
cool.
build your
You know, like,
collection? It's up to you now.
yeah, with the 3D printing market though, there's so
Mm.
many files out there. Like this year, we were gifted a 3D printer, and I'm just like all year I've just been trying to print cool files that I'm finding that anyone could print at home, and then showing what it could look like after you customize it. That
I'd
way,
love to
because
like get
parts are
into
so hard to come by and so expensive at this point. Giving people a cheap solution that they could like just print right at home if they have that option is something I've just been trying to do this year, just, you know, to try to make things accessible.
I believe that's the future of action figure collecting.
what I would
do
love
too.
to do.
You
is,
know,
like,
I believe
get
instead of buying the actual physical action figure,
Buy the file.
we'll get to a point 5-10 years from now where 3D printers will be rather common in the household. And instead of buying an action figure, you'll buy the pattern for it and you'll
Yeah.
make your own.
I'm
Like a
actually giving
replicator.
serious thought into just scanning. There's a program's photograph. Yeah, I don't know if anyone here heard about photogrammetry, but it's a way you could just go around an object and you take pictures like in a circle. You feed them into your laptop, and it creates a 3D print file. And I was thinking about doing that with all the customs that we've made, because I can't make all these figures for everybody, but I can make a print file that all they have to do is add articulation, and they could have it at home, you know, stuff like Stila or Saw or, you know, Lux Bonterry. Hasbro's never going to touch those figures, you know?
Save the dream.
Yeah. So the only thing I have to get like there's like a lot, you need, I think, what was it? 32 gigabytes or 64 gigabytes of RAM?
It's
32.
32 gigabytes.
Yeah.
of
So it's
RAM.
really, I'd have to get a new laptop essentially to do it.
A
And
lot of computers that
not
you can
doing
add
maybe-
RAM to if you have extra slots inside.
The
You can just
limit
add
on
it.
Yeah, I wish. I mean, this one maxes out at 16. I have that Star Wars HP laptop that they made
Oh.
with Vader on it. Yeah, it only goes so far.
I would love to like get into like CAD modeling so I can like start making my customs digitally and then printing them on my printer.
CAD modeling is fun.
Have you gotten into
I'm trying
it?
to get them started, but
I used to work for an engineer, so I used to have to do like the blueprints and stuff, and yeah, it's pretty fun.
you should make stuff at home. You could reinvent the line.
Between work and doing the show, which I don't get to do as much
I
as I'd
know.
like because of work. Because I
Yeah.
literally I work 7 days a week from like 7:30 till like 11 at night. So like technically right now I'm working.
Oh, nice.
Those
Yeah.
are long days.
Yeah, I work online, so the nature of the beast.
Well, your show is very great. I loved all the little like fun commercial breaks.
Oh, the commercial breaks
Those are
are
amazing, and I love them.
Thank you. We have some good ones coming up. We have some really good ones.
Do we get another?
I just love the imagination that goes into all of them. They're perfect. I don't know.
Oh, thanks. Usually we're like sitting here working and we hear like a commercial and we think it's stupid and so we like rework it or something. Like, yeah.
That's how people write real commercials, if you want to know the honest to goodness truth.
Exactly. I do online marketing, so yes, you're right.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. Well, I don't know. I don't think Ellie is going to make it. I know it's a work night, and a lot of you probably, have to get up early in the morning. I really just wanted to say thank you all for all that you've done, and all you've contributed to make Customs for the Kid a better place for people to visit. And yeah, I can't thank you enough for everybody here, and for what you've given to me personally. It's been very fulfilling.
Well, thank you for the zero.
Oh, you're very
Zero
welcome.
the Hutt. Yes, I love him.
I think me too.
That's just a great action.
He had to be
And it's
made.
so clever the way you devise the accessories for him, and the paint job and sculpting is just so accurate and dead on. It looks
Thanks,
like
man.
it's something directly out of Hasbro.
I feel bad. Like, the pictures I have don't do justice to the way he looked. I actually worked on him a little more after I did my photo shoot.
Mhm.
But yeah, I still don't have pictures of, like, I guess what he looks like in like in its final form. But
oh yeah. Well, he's been living with me for a while, so he's
a couple of
looking
years
a little
now.
rough around the edges.
It happens.
It's just lifestyle in my
Same,
house.
same things happen.
Yeah. No, but he's doing fine, and he sends his
Nice.
best. Yeah, he
Sweet.
does send his best. Yeah. He says, yeah, be sure to tell the maker, pass along my best to the maker. That's what he said.
For people who don't know, this is probably I'm not going to be working on the blog anymore. I'm taking a step down. I'm retiring due to like all kinds of crazy stuff that's coming up in life. But I think Elias is at the point where he knows how to run the blog at this point, and he could kind of carry the torch. And I think it's in good hands. And yeah, I'll try to add in whatever input I can here and there when possible. But yeah, this is my swan song.
I gotta be real, like on our last project together, the Loath Wolf, I really like enjoyed that because I felt like it was bringing us back to like what it was like when we first started, us working together in the kitchen / living room on a figure together,
wherever we could
trying
fit.
to get it finished for our crazy deadline.
Yeah, it was fun.
Well, thank you very much for supporting some of the lesser known guys like myself and others. And I've enjoyed your work for 10 years now at least. And I know that you're turning it over into very capable hands. Congratulations on the move. Good luck. And thank you for letting me be part of this.
Oh, no problem at all. Thank you.
Yeah, and thank you for being a part of the show. I mean, I've known you for 10 years. You guys are pretty much like family. I've watched both of you grow as customizers, and yeah, congrats on the 10 years. I look forward to seeing like 75 more years of what Elias is going to do, not just in customizing, but I know he's like into like movie makeup and different stuff, and like he's just killing it everything he does. So yeah, good luck on everything, guys, and I want that Lone Wolf on the next show, that Loath Wolf on the next show.
Okay, sounds good.
I wanted to say too, Brian, it's been a joy just being friends with you. You know, I met you in 2010. You know, we had a great time, doing customizing the Clone Wars, and we had so much fun doing all those different characters and whatnot.
I have to say, customizing the Clone Wars is probably my favorite one of my favorite contributions in customizing, and like, that was awesome. Thank you.
It was a blast, man. It was a blast.
Was.
I'm glad to be there with you. You were amazing. You learned so quickly, and I was just blown away by all the things that you did. So, Congrats, good luck, in all your endeavors, and
Thanks,
it's been a
man.
joy to be a part with you guys and sharing the show with you. So.
Yeah. And yeah, Brian, I'm just super excited to see what the next chapter of your life is going to bring. I think there's a lot of awesome opportunities that I'm excited to see you seize, and I'm super excited to see, Elias, what you're going to do at the helm. It's going to be awesome.
Absolutely, and
I'm excited to see you when you come back and you see all the additions since the last time you were here.
Heck yeah.
I'm totally going to be in contact with all of you guys, and I hope we can still do stuff like that, even though it's just me now.
For sure.
Absolutely.
Of course.
Who do I got to kill to get a Kitster Wald 2-pack?
You don't have to kill anyone. You just have to pay me because I do commissions.
Okay. Well, we shall talk. We shall talk.
There we go.
You're in capable hands. I think he's beaten me out at this point. I think he's the best customizer in the house now.
Nice.
Nah, like in all honesty, you kind of are, and it's really cool to see because like when we first started this, I thought it was going to last a week or two. I don't expect kids, especially 6-year-old kids, to have the dedication to doing something every week the way that you did. And I just told myself I'd keep doing it as long as you keep doing it. And I guess I have to eat those words because I'm stepping down and you're taking over. So, yeah.
That's amazing. That's amazing because kids bounce from things to thing. They have interests that they bounce from,
I know.
A kid will be the biggest fan or the biggest contributor to a hobby one weekend, and then the next weekend he won't want to have anything to do with it. So I think it's amazing that, Elias, you've been able to stick with it the way you have.
I can say, like, I still do that. I definitely do that. It's just customizing that I stick with.
That's the one that's stuck. That is the one that's stuck. So good for you, man. I look forward to seeing how that progresses for you over the next 10 years.
I have plenty of projects and characters that I'd love to bring to life. So
great.
And you got plenty of fodder to do it with.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, you're stocked.
Fodder from your father.
We are.
Oh yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. If there ever is a, we could probably make the Clone Wars prices go down if we ever started selling our fodder off. We'd be like, that Ventures was $80 last week, but it's only $20 now. Why?
I'm pretty sure if there was an apocalypse, we could still make figures.
Yeah, for sure. We're
important to have goals.
We'd just be making them in our bunker with our stash.
Yeah. As the zombies are scratching at the door to get in, you guys are, sculpting away.
Be like, to mint on card figure, you better not let them in.
Yeah.
Throw them a Snoke.
Yeah. I don't think anyone else is going to make it. So I guess we'll call it a wrap because I know it's already 8:54. A lot of you only are on limited time. So thanks again, everybody, for coming. Thank you for being here for our 10-year anniversary celebration. And I can't thank you all enough for being part of this tonight.
Well, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah. Nice to meet you all.
Nice to meet you.
Okay, so I gave my thanks to everybody who participated in our live stream, but truth be told, there's more people I have to thank. So, big thank you to Jamie Folis, Star Wars Customizers. You guys know him as Siloff. He put Elias and I in the Star Wars custom action figure panel at Star Wars Celebration, Anaheim, which was a huge honor. There's very few artists have been featured there, and thank you very much for exposing us to such a large Star Wars audience. And thanks to Lucasfilm for approving us being a part of it as well. Thank you very much. I do want to take the time to thank all of you who were not able to be on the live stream tonight, namely the sites that have featured Customs for the Kid and promoted the Customs for the Kid blog over the years. I'd also
like to thank all the Star Wars customizers who let me feature their work and add them to our custom action figure artist directory. Podcasts. Let's go down the line. I want everybody who invited us onto the podcast to know that I have saved every single episode, downloaded them, put them like away as memorabilia for the time that Elias and I shared doing this blog and all. So to run off the podcast, Star Wars Underworld, Rebel Force Radio, Jedi Business Talk, the Wolfpack Podcast, the Dorky Diva Show, Jedi Business Talk, Toy Run, the Action Figure Cast, Channel Star Wars, Voice of the Republic, Swag 77, the Expanded Fandomverse, Custom Action Figure News, Kessel Run Transmissions. For the websites, Yakface, thank you so much for first teaching me how to customize, and secondly, for not only giving me features as far as like the customizer spotlight, where you gave me front page space on your website. Very thankful for that. Even more thankful that you did the same for my son. I know that it was, it's an honor because it's not easy to get up there. So the fact that you thought we were worthy enough to be on there more than once, thank you so much. That was really cool. And yeah, you were a huge part of our community experience for Star Wars customizing. Also want to give a shout out to Sean Groves over at Imperial Shipyards, sharing the videos that we did covering other customizers, the fact that you always gave front page to every artist, and put a strong focus on Star Wars fan art. That was such a cool community to be a part of, and I can't say what a cool thing was to have space like that on the internet and the community that it built up. I know a lot of the Star Wars customs I wish I owned features that I put up on our blog for our Star Wars custom action figure artist directory. I was exposed to most of those artists on your website. So yeah, I think most of our fans to this day probably found us on Imperial Shipyards. Rebel Scum, another great customizing forum that I was a part of. Again, great talent there, good space, good community. Jedi Temple Archives, I have to thank you for including me on things that we did with Peak Obi-Wan Custom Creations when we did that whole vintage Clone Wars Rebels brainstorm of what would be some of the key figures to get from that line. I want to thank Jedi Insider for the numerous, I can't tell you how many times they featured us in the Custom of the Week and opened us up to a bigger audience. But I think more than anything, the coolest thing that I got to experience from doing this blog was meeting so many people, having a lot of people tell me that they started making art because of the things that I was doing with Elias. It's really cool to see that just something that you were doing at the kitchen table with your kid ends up turning into something that people can learn to do at home and get some of that same positivity that we got here. Thank you to all the customizers who inspire. I lift each other up, bring everybody up with you, and teach everybody everything you know, so there's just more of us out there. All right, take care, everybody. I hope Elias takes you another 10 years, and I hope I made the Star Wars custom action figure community a better place.